Greetings, everyone. Welcome to episode 29 of the I Thrive podcast. It's your boy, Sundin Esperance. We're in the building. I got, another four more former disciples. I call them a former man that was in a lifestyle which that a lot of people either struggle with or are really afraid to speak about, and as I say, moreover, I tell you guys this, where I could, let you be known and talk about it all the time, but when I get somebody who was in that community, when I get someone who was in that lifestyle, it's a whole different story. So, before we begin, as I say, moreover, this podcast is sponsored by Je Veux Jouer. Je Veux Jouer is a life skills program and that offers a program that offers tutoring services for youth. You can go on jeveuxjouer.ca. You'll see there's a variety of programs that have mentorship programs, communication programs, student athlete programs, behavioral programs, and financial literacy programs as well. Also, this is only a podcast affiliates itself with one church and one church only. That's First Church of our Lord Jesus Christ, where our leader, teacher, and guide is Apostle Pastor Gino Jennings. If you're looking to hear the message of the apostles, you can simply go on YouTube. If you want to know if there's a temple, if there's a church in your area, you can go on thetruthofgod.com. All right, so we're going to begin. I have Mr. Jahza Hall.
Yes.
Jahza Hall from Philadelphia.
From Philadelphia.
From Philly. How's it going, Jahza?
It's going pretty good. How about yourself?
Not too bad. I heard you guys are getting some Canadian weather up there in Philly.
Listen, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of this weather. I almost broke my back.
we're used to it over here. That's like summer for some Canadians.
Right.
Oh, yeah. I remember old neighborhood I used to live in. It could be cold. I'm talking about cold. It was this man, shorts, shirt, regular. Like it's almost nothing.
Oh, wow.
I get used to it. Right. So
yeah.
today I'm seeing people from Philly. Oh my God, all this snow, blizzard. We see that almost every day.
So it's right, exactly.
It's all different story.
Reality.
But I'm truly grateful that you were able to take the time and come out on the podcast today. For those of you that don't know, Mr. Jahza Hall is a former homosexual.
Yes.
And he's just going to be declaring a bit of his testimony and explaining what he went through, how he got into that lifestyle. Once again, those of you who are watching this, I don't hate you. Like I'm not encouraging to kill homosexuals. I'm not encouraging that y'all don't eat or nothing like that. It's just to experience what some of you are probably currently going through, and in terms of just kind of to demolish where it's a right way to live, and what better way to bring somebody who was inside that lifestyle, who could been through, done that. And so I'm excited to hear this. I already see a couple of pictures, and my God, wow,
about to run.
Wow. Man, I saw some stuff and I said, wow, I was actually, to be honest, I didn't even think, because I know I reached out to you. I didn't even think you were going to be able to message me. I didn't think you were going to see it and whatnot, because time to time some do, some just don't. I don't know if some just ignore it, but
right.
When you messaged me, I was like, wow, and I just know this one's going to be another good one, and
yes.
So I'm not going to say no more. It's Jahza. I'm gonna let you take the floor and go ahead. So explain to us, from the very depth, from the very beginning, and also you can talk about because something I believe touched on with a previous podcast with Michael Davis. Like, it's not that it's so, but being Black and being in that lifestyle, it's very different from when you're white or whatever, right? Like, you may go, mom and dad may hug you and kiss you, versus Black, you're gonna get kicked out. You know what I'm saying? Michael, he got kicked out.
Right.
The people you could just walk in the neighborhood, get beat up, get eggs at you. It's a whole different process. So really, right. and now today, it's heavy. Like, Black, people, they're not hiding that anymore. They're showing that this is who I am.
Everything's out.
That's it. you know. So I want you to go in depth to like the very beginning and you know, explain terms how you are now, but just really start from the very beginning to how it all began. Floor is yours.
Amen. To God be the glory. First, thank you so much for having me here. Always honored to share the goodness that has happened in my life and also many others, and to encourage everyone that is currently inside the position that I was once in. It basically all started, I was a child. Being a child, didn't know what homosexuality, didn't know anything about sexuality in general. I was actually introduced to sexuality as a whole by my my older brother. He would ask me to do things to him as far as oral sex. And he introduced me to that already. Like that opened the door to it. I know that they say I acted, was a little feminine when I was little, but I know my first sexual encounter happened from being introduced to the same sex was from my brother who introduced me to it at a young age and forced me to do it on top of already being in an abusive environment.
How old are you? And this is like
I'm sorry.
It's like your blood brother. And how old were you?
Yes, I was around the age. It was between the age of, I'm gonna say 9, around that age, 9, 10, 11, around those ages. And I was in the household. I was adopted at the age of 12. After being abused, not just by my brother, he abused me sexually, but I was also abused mentally, emotionally, physically, from the household in general. With the exception of my little brother, because he was younger, he didn't know exactly what was going on. Abuse from my brother didn't just start with oral sex that he had me perform on him, but he used to always torture me as far as, beat me up when my parents would not be there, torture me, saying that I'm not theirs anyway, and this, that, and the third. It was just a whole bad experience. So it was times where I would run away. It was times where I would get kicked out. And I had to find my way. So I didn't really start getting into that until I was at a I went into high school. I'm sorry, not high school. I went into school in general, basically just testing the waters and seeing what it was. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened there. It looked like my light went out, but to God be the glory. As far as my ring light on my tripod.
No worries. So I could. Okay, we're back.
All right, I do apologize about that.
Technical difficulties. It's Philly, not Canada.
What happened. I can't. These lights come from Amazon. They think they're gonna last long. These tripods, and they go out at any given moment. But that was the devil trying not to get this story out, but we rebuke him right now in the name of Jesus. So anyway, back where I was at, I would try it out in school, meaning dry humping with other classmates. I couldn't even tell you how we came encounter as far as me identifying who is interested in doing that, because we was just a young age. But I know that it started, I was dry humping in school, but it was closeted, meaning I didn't go around saying that this is what I was doing, or I was gay, I was a homosexual. But I guess other people identified it. I just never came out and admitted it until I actually got older and came in agreement with myself and said, this is my life and I'm going to live it that way. Not understanding that there was a root to it all. Not understanding that because I was performing oral sex on my brother, because he forced me, that may have been a root of it all. I just thought this would just be the way that I am for the rest of my life. Although I did have some, female encounters as far as girlfriends, but it was never to the point where I wanted to be with a girl over a boy. I always choose that was what I was introduced with. I thought it was only right. What could be wrong about it? So I started getting into relationships. I mean, when I say relationships, I mean encounters. Not so much relationship like one-on-one encounters with men, like going on the party line when the party line was popular. You know, meeting up with them, those in the neighborhood, just doing one night stands, and I was just doing that like from privately without people even knowing. People didn't even know what I was doing because I was private about my sexuality. Although I may look like it outside of my outer appearance, I never really broadcasted like, oh, I'm going to go see this guy. Oh, I'm going to go sleep with this guy. Oh, let me bring my boyfriend around. It was just never that. When I was adopted, my parents, it wasn't of the point of they didn't gay bash. They always prayed and said there's another way. So I had that type. I was adopted into a family who was all about the Lord. So you would think they would say, oh my God, this is not what you're going to do. This, that, and the third. They always say that it was always love embraced, and it was always you're not going to die like this. Basically, there is another way. So I know some people have been through where, you know, family members have kicked them out because they were gay and this, that, and the third. Not in my situation once I got adopted. Now, I don't know what my biological parents thought mentally. I don't know if they even knew I was gay or that I was having those encounters with my brother, because although he was making me do those things, my parents wasn't the type of parents that you can go to and talk to them about things and they will handle it, because I would talk to them about him abusing me and they didn't say nothing about that. So if I'm telling him that he's sexually abusing me, what makes me think that they're going to handle that situation differently? I didn't trust them. They didn't allow me to be vulnerable. So I thank the Lord that I was able to get out of that situation and be welcomed by new families that accepted me for who I was. So
and if you don't mind me asking, how old was your brother when you were 9? Like
so he was 4. I believe I forget if he's 5 years older than me. After I left the situation, I left contact, meaning like as far as age, keeping up with them, it was never that. So I believe he was about 5 years older than me at the time, but he was more experienced than I was. He used to make me watch videos that my parents did. Apparently they made tapes and this, that, and the third. I don't know. It was just, he was more experienced than I was.
When you say like videos that your parents did, like.
Right. Yeah. And intercourse.
Your parents would record themselves?
Yeah. At that time, he showed me that. Yes.
And how would he find the tapes, or your parents would?
I guess he found it. I guess he knew where they were at. I'm not sure as far as how did he know. I'm not sure. I don't know how he even knew that was going on to even show. Because I'm like, why are you even showing me this? At the time I was young, I'm like, no, I don't even know what's going on here. Like, what you mean? Like, why are you showing me this? And how are you even finding these things? Like, how do you even know this is going on? Yeah. So I was introduced to a lot at that age, through the lens, and physically. So getting into the lifestyle, I didn't really start dressing. I don't know if some of you seen any of the pictures that I have, but I didn't fully get into dressing in women clothing and wearing my hair long until I got out of high school into the college life. So I would dress maybe like a button up. I probably would be a little fancy, put little vests on, bow ties, put slits on the side of my pants. But I really fully got extreme when I got on my own. I guess to the point where I'm like, nobody can tell me what to wear. Not that my parents was telling me what to wear, but it was more so like, and I got on my own, like I can put this on now. So my hair was always long. It was always down my back. If I did get anything in it, would be yarn to make a yarn twist get long. I would dress how I feel. One day you'll catch me in a pair of pants and a button up. Other day you'll catch me in a blouse, some short shorts, and some knee boots. I mean, it just went along with how I went throughout my week. So I would have one night stands. I would go party. I never went to gay bars. I was never into the gay community, like the gayborhood we have in Philadelphia. It's called a gayborhood. So I never was involved in that way. But I was always I did everything, like I said, privately. So if I met up with somebody, I went to their house, we did what we had to do, and I left, I went back home. It was more so like that. In my party life, I partied more with the heterosexuals. There were a few judgment in the club. I mean, in the clubs that I went to, but majority of the clubs were accepting of my lifestyle. I don't know if they were in that lifestyle once or they were just accepting people, but they just accepted me. And I always felt comfortable being around heterosexuals more than I felt comfortable being around homosexuals, because I knew homosexual men, and some refer to them as queens, they are catty. You know how girls say, I can't be friendship with a girl but for so long because they start so much stuff and this, that, and third, they can't be friends, they always falling out. That's how the gay community looked for me. It was like always somebody sleep with somebody, always somebody fighting somebody, always somebody. It was always some type of drama. It was thievery going on. It was, prostitution going on. That wasn't my life. I just wanted to have my one-on-one encounters, and I wanted to dress the way I wanted to dress, and I wanted to party, and I went on about my business. I lived in my own element. So moving forward, I went through all of that being in sexual relationships all the way up until 2015, when I was inside of a relationship. Now, leading up to that time I was inside this relationship, I used to look at different people who were in the homosexual lifestyle, and I always wonder, like, how can they have a relationship and I can't? Why is it so successful? Why do homosexuality look so successful? They can adopt a child, they can raise his family, and nothing can happen to them. But I go to church every Sunday. Although I was in my lifestyle and dressed the way I dressed and did everything, I still went to church every Sunday, and they preached against sin. They say how it's wrong. How can it be so wrong and it looks so right? So I used to say, like, why can't I do it? So the Lord kept telling me, although I was homosexual, he kept telling me, that's not for you. To the point where I wasn't even listening no more. Like, I don't understand how it's not for me. And to the point where I believe that it was God who was like, okay, you want it, go get it. He put me into this relationship. Now, this wasn't the first relationship, but this was a relationship where we actually lived under the same roof. Other relationship, it was more so like you lived at your place, I lived at my place, and that was that. This particular relationship was more so we lived in the same home, meaning he came and he came into my life in a time where I was more vulnerable. I had got fired from my job. And he inboxed me. He'd been inboxing me on and off, but he inboxed me this particular day and said, let's go to the movies. And I said, okay, I wanted to get out. I just got fired from my job from some nonsense. Let's go. And this is the first time anybody ever asked me, let's go to the movies. They always say, let's go to my apartment and go to your apartment. So I thought this was different. So we went out, and after that night, he just never left my apartment. I don't know how I even allow him to come move in. I don't know. I told you I was in a vulnerable place, and it was like I was making stupid decisions because before it was like one night stands. You go, we get what's going on, and then you leave, or I leave, or that's that, and we can hit each other up when that time comes around again. This particular time, I allowed this man to stay in my house for 6 months, and it was 6 months of pure hell. I mean, 6 months we didn't have, it was so bad that we didn't have sexual intercourse the whole 6 months. Not saying that it is bad, but when you're in that situation, you wonder why it's not happening. Right now, I understand why it wasn't happening. But before, when I was in a relation, when I was in that situation, I'm like, why are we not even have, he was a freak. Like, he was known to be this. Come to find out from people who I know that knew him. And I'm like, so why nothing is happening with us? But right before that, I must have skipped over this part. I was at church, and like I said, I had a pastor who used to pray for me and pray with me, even though I was inside, my sin, he would pray with me. He would say, you know, the Lord loves you, and all this stuff. Not that he was encouraging the sin, but he was loving on me, understanding that this is what Jesus would have done. He will love you despite of your sin, but the sin has to come out. See, Jesus loves us. He loves us, but he don't love the sin that we do. Doesn't mean that you have to treat the person any type of way. So he used to love me, and people inside the church would judge, talking about, well, why you got him mime dancing? Because I'm a mime dance director. Why you got him mime dancing? Why you got him over these kids? And why you got him coming to this church if he is this in his lifestyle? Now, when I was in church, I never said I was in the lifestyle. I just came to church dressed. Nobody never asked me. And I didn't think it was something I needed to say. I just lived in my element. So he said, I'm not going to put this man out the church, because Jesus wouldn't have did that. Jesus said, I'm going to love the sin out of you. I'm going to love the sin out of you. I'm not going to put him out, because God is going to change Jahza when he chooses to change him. And when Jahza make up in his mind that this is no longer the lifestyle he want to be in, we cannot force somebody out the sin, because they're not really going to be out. The only thing they're going to do is go back into it when you're not looking. So I said, okay, I'm in this relationship. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going back to the church. So this one particular time I was inside church, and I'm telling you, it felt like I was out of zone. I was at the front of the church, and next thing you know, I was crying, I was weeping, and I ended up under the pew. Come to find out, it was maybe like an hour and a half after church service was over. I opened my eyes. It was my pastor over me. It was my pastor over me. Another youth pastor over me had the Bible open. I mean, the leadership was just around me, and I just know that I was crying. And they said that what they explained to me, said I was going through deliverance. So I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, why did it take so long? They said they was praying, they was calling things out, and I'm sitting there like, I just felt overwhelmed. Like, I felt like, what happened? Felt like I was out for about an hour and a half. Like, what happened? And so going into this relationship, I wonder why, when I was in the relationship, that although we're not having sex, I'm not even going out to even look for other sex within the lifestyle, although it's not happening to my own home. Like, why am I not even interested in going to find it somewhere else? Although I'm not a person that likes to cheat and this and third, I would have said, okay, me and you got to break up so I can go find fulfillment. But that area in my life I didn't feel a need to fulfill it. Although I did question, like, how was it not happening? But at the same time, I'm like, I don't even have a desire to fulfill that need, to go want it. So this man, in this relationship, we used to argue every day. We used to get into fights. And it was like bad. Like, we was name called. It was every day of my life for them 6 months was like hell. And I used to say, like, Lord, please get me out of this situation. Please get me out. Like, I don't even know how. He was cheating. I knew of it. Still let him back in. It felt like he was controlling me. It felt like he was he was taking me outside of who I really am. Like, I'm this happy, I'm this jolly person. I like to go out to have fun. Like, he just stripped me from all of that. He took all the energy out of me. And one day I went to church, and it was on Mother's Day, and this guest preacher came back and said, you have to forgive and let go. You have to forgive and let go. At that point, I didn't hear the forgive part, but I heard the let go part. So after that service, I went home, and I do know about the power of the oil. So I took the oil and I prayed over it, and I went into my house and I put the oil around my whole house. I opened all the windows. I put the oil around my whole house. And I said, whatever is in this apartment that is not like you, Lord, I needed to go. I needed to get out. I was open. I mean, it was like me is inside my apartment crying and praying, crying and praying. That week, everything went for a turn to the point where he came into the house, and it was like, okay, I'm done with this. He came in after being out for 2 days. He went to work. I went to the laundromat, and he was calling me because he seemed like something was strange. And then I was ignoring his phone call. I had my best friend on the phone. I said, I'm about to take all his stuff and drop it off at his grandma's house. I want to be done with the situation, to the point where he came home in the middle of his shift because he claimed that he was sick. But because he didn't know what was going on up here with me, he left work. And when he got to the apartment, it was argument from there, to the point where the police got involved. And I went to the police station and told them that y'all going to have to handcuff me because I'm about to murder this guy. I took the iron and I threw it at him, missed his head, hit the wall, took the humidifier, hit that. It was just a big chaos. Broken windows. The apartment was in a complete uproar. And that was the Lord removing him out of my life. It had to get ugly in order for him to go. This is the kicker. When I said, Lord, whatever's in this house that don't belong to you, I need it to go. Not only did he put him out, but right after we went through that, the police said that because he went down and got a restraining order against me, he came back and with the police, and the police told him that I get to get he got an eviction notice. It was it's South Philadelphia. It was a restraining order, but because he was a legal resident there, they said he was a legal resident there because he told them that he lived there, that he could not get put out, but I have to leave until the next court date. So I had to get evicted from my apartment that he came into, that I've been living at for years, and he get to stay, and I got 20 minutes to gather a few personal items and go wherever, because he got this restraining order, and with the restraining order came an eviction. So I'm like, how is that even so? I'm the leaseholder. I'm the person who pays this, that, third. Like, how is this even taking place? And they said, this is the law now. Okay, so later on, we went to court. They said, okay, they can lift the restraint, they can lift the eviction, but then they want us to go ahead and live in the same house. But the restraining order still stands. This is a 1-bedroom apartment, Your Honor. How do you think that's even going to happen? Like, this just doesn't make sense to me. I've heard of cases where people will go to court and say they're being abused, and the situation is like, y'all can't be around each other, not even under the same roof. But how are you saying that we can be in the same house, but the restraining order still stands? Mm-hmm. So he really felt, and he knew this system, and he knew that he wasn't able just to get put out, because here they say if the person stays in your house over 24 hours, then the person is called a legal resident there. That means you have to do a 30-day eviction and then a 21-day lockout. So it takes 60 days in order for you to even get this person out. And my cousin was the landlord, and with my cousin even being the landlord, they said, okay, you have to put on the eviction notice, Jahza Hall and other occupants even to get him out. So now eviction letter would have to be on my record order just to get him out when he can just leave. Yeah. He didn't want to leave. He wanted to make my life a living hell. He wanted to keep coming to the apartment. He moved out, and still, because he knew that he didn't have to get put out without getting that eviction. He knew that he could kick the door down. The police wouldn't do nothing because they said that he is a legal resident. So that's a door that y'all just gonna have to get fixed. Until one day the police said, well, go down there and you get a restraining order against him. You get an eviction. Went down there, got it delivered to his job. The next morning, I'm at my mom's house, and he pulls up with the police and got the restraining order and the eviction amended. I'm like, do he know somebody down at the courthouse? Like, it was crazy. Yeah. So a month went by. Now we at June 30th of that year, and everything is now thrown out. Now, even in the course of that, I went to the apartment to get some clothes, and come to find out he had somebody in the bed. I walked in the room. Somebody was in the bed with him, the same person that he cheated on me with before. And I looked at the knife, and I looked at them, and then I was about to commit a crime. And then the Lord direct me to the shorts to get it and then leave. It was like craziness from May 20th to June 30th until everything got over. And he went on about his business. The court threw everything out. And then I said, okay, Lord, I am done. Now, how many people know that when you say I am done, you're really not done? Because it's not that easy. So I tried to tap back into something else that I talked to before, like someone else I talked to like a few years before. And then when I did that, the Lord cut off my unemployment that I had. So then with me cutting off my unemployment, that means I couldn't live in my apartment no more because you have to pay where you lay. So I had to move out of my apartment. So I guess the Lord was saying, when you said get him out, you had to get out too, because you can no longer live in that environment. And because of your disobedience, I have to strip you of everything. First it was your car, then it was your apartment. Now it's your job. You have to understand who I am. Lord, why did you have to do it that way? So then from there on, I stopped, cut off every website, every person in my phone who I used to hit up just at night when I leave the parties and clubs. It was me and God. Now, I had temptation, of course. It was temptation where I wanted to tap back in. It's temptation where, I just wanted to fulfill. I felt like I wanted to go just be accompanied by somebody who was in the lifestyle as a companion. And I had to rely on Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthened me. So I had to really, really just dive into my word. It was just me and God. And I did that for about 2 years. So it was just like me and God, because you have to tackle that thing with God's word, prayer, and fasting. You just can't say you've done and walk away. You have to do the work. So it's not like you can wake up one morning and say, I'm done drinking, and never take the steps to stop drinking. You can never say, I can no longer be a drug head without going to these AA meetings. You cannot do things just overnight. Of course, I was going through times where I'm like, Lord, am I really supposed to be turning away from this? And then God was saying the other ear, because now I'm completely empty in the vessel. Now I can really hear him. He's saying, yes, son, continue to follow me. I have more for you. I have prosperity. I have hope for you. I have purpose for you. I need you to fulfill it. I need you to fulfill the prophecy that was spoken over your life, that you would not be in this state anymore. I need you to fulfill the prophecy that was spoken over your life, that people are attached to your yes. It was all these things that it had to be fulfilled. So in order to do that, yes, you had to go through your season of singleness, and you had to go through your season of being totally committed to me in order for you to receive everything that I have for you. Although it may seem so far away right now, although it may seem that you can't even get it, and although it may seem that because you are homosexual that you will not even find a female, a wife, even somebody who even want to talk to you, because that's the lifestyle that you live, because that's how society is. Society is saying that women are not going to go with men who used to be in that lifestyle anymore. But Lord said, the devil is a lie. I have these things for you, but I need you to be committed to me.
So in terms, because you said, like I said earlier, 2 years. So it's not something that's like, man, it's 2 days or 2 weeks and that's it. Like this is that means this is a serious, like a very, very serious thing to really come out. It's not an overnight thing. It
it's
takes
nothing that's overnight.
Wow. And during those years, it could be like somebody regular. Like let's say someone just is tempted to get drunk, or tempted to smoke, or tempted to steal. It's in the same forms of, you're just tempted of, so because you were saying even websites, and so like there's so much things you have to kind of cut off. But that was really tough within the 2 years. Now, within those 2 years that came, when because obviously the mentality and what it's like when you're in it. So when was that time? And how many years would you say you were in it for?
Woo. I would say I was in the lifestyle since I was touched. That's how I'm taking it. Although I did have, female relationships as a teenager, but it was more so I really all the time leaned to being in the same sex relationship, same sex attraction. I would say that from the age of single digit 9 all the way up until I was it? So that would have been 5 years. So 27, 26, 27.
So, and during that time, You know, so you, man, been in there that many years, you obviously know the feeling and whatnot. So when is it? Because there's, there are men, that are struggling with this. There are men that are out there who kind of came out in a way, or who's not even just out there like that. And then you do have men, that post the pictures and this and that. And you could speak on it on a perspective for like a black man, because you know how it is when a black man is, and it's not to say it's supposed to be this way. It's just what it is. My experience is seeing a white boy going to tell his parents, it was, oh, okay, we love you. They could make a whole video on YouTube. Oh, I'm about to tell my parents I'm gay. Mom and dad is crying. And, very different when it comes to black parents. Very, if you what? You got to go. You're gonna be.
You gotta go. You gotta go.
So when did that moment in time come where you knew it was like, no, this is it. That's it. Like how did you feel in that moment? And how did you know that time you said like that's it and no more, versus because you probably, as you said it moreover. It wasn't like you just said it the first time and that was it. It was, but when did that moment come and how did you feel in that moment when you knew like that was it?
Well, I felt it. So I guess it's two things. So I felt it at that time where my unemployment was cut off and I had to move in my apartment. And I said, that was it. Because I knew he had taken everything from me. Now, although I said that was it, temptation always is going to come and haunt you. Temptation happens even to this day with anything. Just because you deliver from homosexuality, maybe you want to have a drink for something. Like temptations happen in your life all the time, all around you. It may not be what you was free from, but it just could be with anything. Even being in your singleness, and now you're free from that. Now you have attraction to women. Now you want to have sex with women before marriage, and you're not supposed to be having sex before marriage. So temptation comes all the time. God gives us a way of escape when that time comes. We just become blind and miss the flags when it happened. But my moment of being done was in that year when I lost completely everything, and it was me and God. Temptation came, of course, it came. But I would say that the following year was more so like I completely lost attraction completely with men. Like it was, I can look at somebody who I know that I would have been attracted to and not feel completely anything about it. It was like, I had to check myself like, nothing. And it was more so like, I started not doubting, but like kind of testing God a little bit. Like, wait a minute, God, I know that people around me say I can be free, but I didn't know I can be free. I didn't know I can look at a man and not even think. I didn't even know I can look at a man and not feel no attraction, but even having my mind to say, oh, wow, how do I start dating women? I thought that would never come in my mind because in my mind, I'm like, I want to be free and stay single. Yeah. Adopt a child, raise it on my own, and stay single. Why do I need to be with anybody? The guy said, that's not what I have for you. I have a man, I have a wife for you. I created her from your rib. I have that person for you, just like Adam and Eve. He created Eve from the rib of Adam. I have this woman for you, but I need you to go through this season of deliverance and healing. So yeah, back when that year that everything went down and I got out and it was like no job, no car, no finances, it was more so like, okay, Lord, I completely hear you. What steps do I have to take now to be free? And then being, when you talk about, the culture, as far as, the black and the white and, any culture period, that's how the gay community is created. The parents of the home, they're not loving on their children. They're so quick to throw them in the street when they find out that they're gay. So what they go in the community and find are gay moms and gay dads. I don't know if you ever heard that term before, but they have in the community called gay mom or gay dad or grandmom, gay grandpa. And these are people that can be 2 years older than them. And these are people who are taking them under their wing and loving them and embracing that lifestyle, because the parents at home have kicked them to the street to make it worse, instead of loving on them, embracing them, saying that you're going to get through this, saying, I love you in spite of your sin, in spite of your wrong, in spite of your differences. I'm going to love you. And us in that culture, us Blacks, that's what we do. We don't even allow our children to come and be vulnerable, because we were so trained to say, to not deal with it. It's either shut up, stay in the child's place, or what happens in his house stays in his house, or you won't live in his house being that way. That's just how it is in this culture. And I'm just being completely transparent about it.
No, and the thing is, one thing I always say, it's, I just wonder if some parents just ask their kids, has anybody ever physically abused you? Has anybody ever touched you in the wrong manner? Has it? Because when I speak to people and I talk to them, their parents don't say nothing about that at all. Their parents, they don't say, it's completely inexistent, whereas they have those conversations because they're just assuming nobody's gonna touch my kid, but you just don't know, right? And I think these things are can be implemented. Those things can be different. Those things can be done. Those things, should be done. Just a simple question: son, daughter, did you ever, did anybody ever touch you in a way they're not supposed to?
Get to the root. You have to get to the root. Right.
It's never there. It's always just a pass and pass. And if for parents watching this, I would encourage you, ask your kid, ask your child.
You have to.
You don't listen. A lot of times today, the parents know, like the kids know more than the parents do. Because within the new generation, as it gets more, like with social media,
they know more. Yes.
About Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, like they don't know that. So they don't even know what the kid can be exposed to. So it could just be something within, man, what did you see today? Or what is being seen today? What is being viewed today? Whatever the case is, I know for the kick out part, because some parents, they can deal with it, and some they just can't, and it's tough. And in terms of the kicking out, like I understand why parents get it done, because some, they're working too hard and they're doing too much just to have, a son or a daughter and raise them up. And it's kind of like, you want to live your lifestyle in my house, because it's a simple rule set, right? And not even just with being homosexual. If you just
anything,
whenever you want, if you just want to, if you want to do all you want, whatever the case is, then if you don't want to do it, or if you want to stop, all is simply put, you move in yourself. It's very plain and simple, or you move out. I mean, you move out. You don't want to follow people that are there. All you have to simply do is move out, pretty much. And I think when it comes to it, and touch on that a bit more. So when you say, like, in terms of what you would feel, because obviously, do you feel as though, so 2 questions. Do you feel as though when a kid is homosexual, and should the parent at least first, kind of talk to them and see and how it is, and if they don't want to get into it, if they do not want to, like, refuse it, or if they don't want, like, to stop it, then kick them out? Or should they just continue to keep them in until they stop? And second is, if those things would have never happened to you, if those things, like, losing your apartment, losing your car, losing your job, would you have stopped that lifestyle? Or if that stuff would have still be there, do you believe that it would, like, you would have still changed? Because there's some very successful homosexuals out there. You know what I mean? There's some homosexual, famous homosexual, successful. So it's not entire, because now one could look at you, where it's like, okay, you lost that, but what about so and so? This person's rich. That person has money. That person has that. And in the midst of it, when I tell people, the most important thing is that you have God. That you're chased, by God in a way. So that's 2 questions I have. So the first one is, okay, you're gay. Does the mom and dad just kick you out right away, or do they talk to you? And also the importance of church, in terms of, because you need strict teaching to get out of a terrible lifestyle. I feel like weak teaching, it can't get you out of that that strong, because listen, that's a strong homosexual lifestyle, is no joke. If people think it is no joke. It is. It's serious. It's a spirit in people. You're talking a different. You have a man talking like a woman, and a woman who wants to be like the man. This is a serious now. So the importance with strict teaching in terms of your experience, that as well, where you could answer. But the first question, when a kid, he's gay, first thing as a parent should do, kick them out or have a conversation with them first?
I think that the parent should have a conversation with the child and ask, what made you start feeling this way? Like, you have to ask your child, allow your child to talk, open up so your child can talk to you, or create a safe space, trust environment, so your child can be able to be vulnerable with you and tell them why are they feeling that way? What did they see? Did something ever happen? What's the good touch, bad touch, this, that, and the third? I don't never think that a parent should put their child out for being in the same-sex lifestyle. But what you can do as far as household rules is do not bring your boyfriend. If this is the lifestyle, I'm not going to condone it by allowing you to bring your boyfriend in my home, and then you doing all types of things in my home, because although you're my child and I am still going to love you and embrace you, I'm still just not going to allow certain behaviors to happen in my home. Even if a child is heterosexual, I'm not going to just allow your girlfriend and your boyfriend to come over and stay and sleep in the same bed and stay at night and this, that, and third. It's just ground rules about being in the home. Period. I'm sorry.
Did you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Go ahead. Sorry.
It was like a loud noise. I'm like, what happened?
Yeah.
So so I don't think that a parent should I think they should love and ask questions. You should ask questions to the child. Now, if a child is disrespecting your home, sneaking people in, stealing from you, and doing that in the third, do what you need to do as a parent. But what I'm saying, as far as just because they are telling you that they're gay, or that they're, a homosexual or lesbian, I think you should ask questions to a child, because something had to happen. Yeah. Something came up. They might have seen something. Somebody may have touched them in the household, but you so quick to throw them out when you really need to be reporting that person who might have touched them, or talking to that person who may have showed them something, or dealing with yourself because maybe you have shown them something that you wasn't supposed to show them. It's called about being accountable about what's going on in your household, and we're not being accountable anymore. We're just throwing them to the wolves, and then when they get killed or when they get worse, we say, oh, that's on them. No, you contribute to that because you didn't embrace them. You didn't love them the way that Jesus loved us and forgave us and loved us and walked us through and died for us. You didn't do that for your child. Jesus would never just throw us to the wolves. You know what I'm saying? God, he loves us so much that he gave his only begotten son to die on the cross for our sins, that we may have life and have more abundantly. He never let us go. So we should never, and even though people are not inside of the Christian lifestyle, Christian, the religion, the relationship, just because you're not in it doesn't mean that you shouldn't still ask your child questions and see the root to it all. No. Now, if they're disrespecting your house, you need to maintain the structure of your home. Absolutely. And you need to, do what you need to do in regards to that. But as far as, just kicking them up because they're homosexual or lesbian, I don't think that's the answer.
Yeah. And for me, I mean, that I completely understand. Because for me, my background is Haiti. So for Haitian, I was raised by Haitian immigrants. At the beginning, pretty strict, and all and stuff like that. And so a lot of the times you can get kicked out for just having an earring.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. You laugh, but
you come in with 2 earrings, you went out, you come back, your stuff is on the floor outside. It never happened to me, but I know, some of that experience.
Right.
It's they're very they're not taking stuff at all, but I always know it's very important that that you as a man that you have structure in your house, because you don't want the kid coming and doing what they can do and they're running thing. Because look, I can't even let's say I'm just coming over to your house. I can't come and tell you what you should do in your own house. You know what I'm saying? I can't
Right.
come to you and I'm walking on the sofa. I'm just opening the fridge, eating everything like
I'll be
like
confused
I have
as
no
to where you
discipline.
going, sir.
You know? You know? So it's like it goes in terms of with structure, because if a kid is not even gonna have structure from where he was raised or from where or any
Come
rules or
on.
discipline from where he's from, then how is he gonna have it versus someone who's not even his mom and his dad?
Come
You know what I
on.
mean? It's a whole
Come
different
on.
story. So I understand. I understand parents who do get it done, but for myself, I would just, as you said, I would just speak to the kid just time to time, even not even just to wait, because so many a lot of people, they were molested when they were young. So far, it's only one I've interviewed so far. It was just like it just came right to the mind. But out of every single one, like every single one of you, it was just, it started like that. And so it's tough. That's your brother. You know what I mean? You expect to leave your little brother, but then, it's like when you said the parents, I don't know where the kid found the sex tapes. I don't know where he found. That's a whole nother thing too. You
That's
watching
another thing within itself.
your own parents.
I'm not like, it was like disgusting.
Like, I can't imagine what goes on, and at 9, you don't know how much that messes up, the mind at a young age, So, but for me, if a parent, like, if I feel like if a parent, he'll talk and discuss and have these discussions with the child, and the child doesn't want to listen, most parents, they're going to kick them out, because they know a lot of the times, I think kids as well, they know I can't go to dad with this. I can't go to like some know,
Yeah.
some know 150%. They know their dad. Everybody could advise them. Hey, don't worry, man. Don't worry. Like I told my parents the other day, and it was all good, bro. Like trust me, man. Your parents will be.
Well, buddy, you don't know my daddy.
Exactly. You don't know that's your dad. You don't mind. So some they will already know, what it is and stuff.
Right.
But it's that's why. So I was used to the kick out lifestyle and stuff, and it's just I just want to have a means of proper relation, because it starts somewhere. You get what I mean? It's important for the kid to understand what a man is, because if mom and dad like is feminine, of course, I can't blame a kid if he gets confused. His mom is doing all this and stuff. Dad is doing this as well. Like, what do you want the kid to do? What do you want the child to do? Like, there has to be a structure where he sees, all right, I can understand where this is, a man, and like he sees a difference. He sees a difference. So, like the kick out lifestyle is something I guess I was just used to, and like I'm telling you, like a Haitian kid, just for saying what to his mom could get him kicked out. You get called what? Huh?
Woo!
You
I
said
could even imagine saying that.
Okay. Time to go. You are hanging out with too much of those friends. You are hanging out with the Johnny, and he's intimidating. Get out of the house. It's fast. It's that easy.
Right.
I'm always used to it, but I completely understand what you mean. Because in fact, I found out about the gay mother with the recent podcast with Michael Davis, because he was actually transgender. So he was really under the way. Like they show you the rope, and I didn't even know this.
They show you the rope. They show you everything
and whatnot. I had no clue that you were in it completely. No clue at all. So it's my second question to you now, in terms of church, because we know there's a lot of homosexuals in the church as well, and they
in
say
ministry at that.
they say this and stuff. Sometimes it's even the pastor himself.
Come on, talk about it.
So it's like, in terms of proper structure, do you feel like it's just whatever message is whatever message, it doesn't matter? Or do you believe there needs to be a strict, like I'm talking about strict teaching, I'm talking about like that old-fashioned teaching, that's very strict? Because today it's died down a lot, and it's become so watery and so that left and right. But when it comes to this, when it comes down to strict teaching, how important do you feel that could have been for you when these things, like even not just you, your own brother, right? Because I mean, for him, he has to take responsibility. I know at 9 you're conscious and stuff, but I mean, I know what it is when you're 14 and when you're 9. The weight is different. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's some 9-year-olds look like they're 18. They look like they could ready to go to the NFL, but not all kids are like that. So how important do you feel like that was supposed to be when you were that young?
Yeah, I do think that that structure as far as the church. I think that's something that it should be talked about. It really should be. What I do not agree with is them throwing them out of the church because of their net lifestyle. Yeah. But I also don't agree that they're sugarcoating the truth as well. That is a sin. Like, and they need to preach that Jesus loves all, but he does not love the sin that you're in. And I think that needs to be preached. I think that needs to be taught. But when the world, the government, the politics came in agreement with making this legal, what happened is the churches are scared and the leadership is scared to be sued because they may talk about the homosexuality, they may talk about lesbianism, that what happens is it's encouraged now. And because we have a banging choir director, he's gay, but the choir sound good and we get more members, I'm not going to speak on it because I don't want to lose my choir director, even down to the musician, even down to the drummer, or even on the pulpit, as far as pastors and ministers and deacons. We don't want to talk about it because we don't want to lose our team. But what is happening is we're damaging because they're coming to church inside their suits. They're coming to church inside their shoes. And what is happening is they're not even dealing with the inside, and then they're affecting the church body without talking about the sin that's actually transferring in the church. See, we're becoming so comfortable with allowing it to go on to the point where the whole church, when you could have stopped it at the choir director, but because you were scared to talk about it because politics or because it's legal, now it's affected the boys in the choir. Now it's affecting their children where it could have been stopped at the root. And it's nothing wrong with sitting down, being in leadership and getting yourself together under teaching, and then coming back into the forefront when you're ready, healed, and delivered, because it happened to me. The pastor, he said, because like I said, I went to church free. Like, I was like, blouses, hair. I mean, when I tell you my hair was long, and I sat in front of the church, fishnet stockings, I didn't care. I came to church to receive the word, no matter what. I even came straight from the after hours. So, but at the same token, I was also a leader in the church as far as being, I'm a mime dancer. So I have the ministry of the church leadership of mime dance ministry. So what happened was pastor was like, listen, I love you. The sin that's overtaking is not pleasing, and I cannot have you, teaching the little kids and being in leadership in that way and expecting them not to get affected by it. So what happened is, no, if you leave the church, that's something that you want to do. But me as your pastor, I'm loving you. I'm telling you what God wants me to tell you, and I'm telling you that God is going to bring you out. And I'm here to walk you through the word, and where you found areas of weakness, I'm here to give you the scriptures, and I'm here to do this for you. But I need you to sit down from leadership. So what that looked like to me was, okay, the church, see, what happens is we dress up sin. So we can come to church in a homosexual, but we wear a pantsuit. See, me, I came to church, I was homosexual, and I wore homosexual, and I was dressed as if I was one. You see what I'm saying? So I believe that it should go from the inside out. So I sat down until I worked on the inside out, until I was free on the inside, because I can be free on the outside, but my inside can be damaged and going crazy. What happened is I have to deal with what's on the inside so the outside can change, because I won't even have an attraction to put on that blouse anymore. I'll go ahead and grab that button up. I won't even have attraction to put on those fishnets no more. I'll go ahead and grab them socks. So it goes along with teaching from the inside out, so you won't look like you're just dressing up sin. And that's what some of the church people want people to do, is to dress up sin, no matter what it is. They want us to dress it up so you can look like you're a part to be in leadership. No, you got to deal with the everything straight across the board and be strict and structured about and not sugarcoat it. If they're going to sue you, you know the whole. Let me tell you something. If somebody's going to sue you and you doing what God's telling you to do, He is going to make sure the case is not even going to touch you because of what the teachings and what everything that you doing as far as spreading the gospel. I think that the churches as a whole, leadership should be more strict about loving the person and loving the sin out of the person, just like Jesus would have did.
Yeah.
And teaching that.
Yeah. No, I mean that's a good point that you made. It starts within the heart, you know, and then once that starts to change, then the outwardly, you know, starts to develop as well, you know. But for myself, man, like when I realized how important, you know, it is to have just, you know, the correct teachings, and it could not even just be within homosexual lifestyle. It could be whenever,
Anything.
right? Because you know, it's
Anything.
like typical, like people in the world, they used to just not take so-called church people serious because here you're doing the same thing I'm doing. And, you know, I don't even believe in God, but yeah, you say you do, and we're doing the same thing. We say we listen to the same music. We go to the club together. We do all, you know, so it's been in that manner. And that's why I'm truly grateful to God for my leader. I don't know if you heard of, he's actually in First Church of Our Lord Jesus Christ. I don't know if you.
I heard of First Church of Our Lord Jesus Christ, but I've never been.
You never been. You probably know. You should. I'm telling you. I encourage you. Should definitely, you know, go and take a look. The leader is Gino Jennings. Have you ever heard of Gino Jennings?
That name is so familiar. Maybe I've seen him on a poster.
It has to be familiar in Philly.
Yeah. Jennings. It sounds so familiar. Wow.
No, Gino Jennings. No, him, man. Like his teaching is very. I'm telling you. Like, you know.
That's good.
You'll just have to see it for yourself. You know. Yeah.
That's good. Right.
It's in North Philly. North Philly, I think 5105 North 5th Street. Around there. So it's definitely, I'll send you like the link and whatnot. They still hold service even during the pandemic. Like you won't even think it's a pandemic, but of course protocols are respected.
Right.
You know, and stuff like that. I'm just like, before y'all start to say, then I wear masks. We're gonna get them now. They're wearing masks.
That's a shame because you know people straight say, oh wow, they're not social distancing. No, that is in place. That's
exactly
right.
It's in place, and you know they do everything they can to make sure there is social distancing. Unless family, right? If you, I believe you're married, right? So if you,
yes, I am.
But you know, when you go in there, the men are on one side and the women are on one side. But hey, if you want to sit with your wife, there's no problem with it. But families are allowed to sit together. But it's just you know, so they still follow the protocols.
That's good.
But no, man, you know, it's like it's very like strict teaching. But and what it is, you just have to keep it real with yourself. If you're struggling, everybody's going to struggle with something. You may be struggling with you struggling with, another person's going to struggle with he struggle with. And the whole point of going there, a whole point of entering churches because you're sick. You know what I'm saying? You need some healing, right? And through it is through the word, you know. So, but it's honestly like for you man, you educated me a lot when it comes to, in terms of the homosexual. Because you know, sometimes a lot of people they'll just speak on, oh, I'm just delivered, you know, and there's nothing to it. The fact that you did mention like temptation, because temptation, look, you're not gonna run away from temptation. I don't care what, you know.
It's not. It's always gonna be there. There's
nobody in the world, nobody could ever tell me they're not. We're talking about temptation,
right?
You know, nobody in the world can say that, right? But you're speaking about the reality of it, and that's what I like. Real. You know, and not even like, that's what I love. You know, reality is spoken. Where you come out of that lifestyle, it's not gonna be all A, B, C, D. Nope. You know, you're gonna, man, the devil's gonna just keep trying because he knew how to get you there the first time. So now let's see how I can get him like this. Let's see how I can get, you know. So that's why it takes you know, a very strong gospel, as I say, and a very strong God to really get you out of that lifestyle. But what would you have, you know, for any men watching this, and it could be even for particularly in terms of not just Black men, you know, but just men watching this, because you were, and that's why I say a lot of the times, and I've kind of realized it, like a lot of people that are homosexual today, they were molested. Like your situation is probably like one of the most you know, situations I've heard and whatnot, but it starts from somewhere. You get what I mean?
It does.
Always a starting place. And you know, before, I get to my question, like, have you found it in yourself to forgive, your brother and, and stuff, or?
Yes, I did.
I know it's not easy, man. Like, I know people say it all easy and peasy, but forgiveness is not especially your situation. That's not the easy thing to do, man. That is not an easy thing.
So with forgiveness, I had to, and it was something that my pastor, because my pastor, although my pastor, my first lady, was loving me and they was, guiding me through this whole journey, I was having one-on-one man-to-man sessions with my pastor. And, he would, things I needed help with, things I needed to be prayed for, just that spiritual counseling. And he said, you need to go back and forgive. And I'm looking at him like, how? I don't know. Why would I want to do that? And not even just him, like my biological parents, and even the person that the person I was in a relationship with before I came out of, before I started to come out to sin, that relationship. Yeah, I had to go back and do it all. But it wasn't right there that I went back and forgave. I had to come to terms with it. I had to be ready to forgive, because it wasn't something where a pastor can say, go forgive and not go forgive. I wanted to be where I wanted to forgive. And when I forgive, I wanted to be free from that, meaning I can no longer hate you or be angry at you for this. When I see you, when I think of you, if I see a picture of you, forgiveness is meaning that I'm no longer holding this at all. I forgave you. Let's move forward. So I did reach out to my biological parents as far as the abuse, as far as the mental neglect, and how I had to go through adoption and all that. And even I inboxed my brother and asked for, it even wasn't asked for forgiveness. I asked, let's have a conversation. Let's come together. And my pastor was even willing to be in the room to kind of navigate so we can really heal from this. So they turned it down. But I was in a place where even if you are not ready to forgive, or even if you're not ready to, allow me to forgive you, I have to do it for me. Because I can no longer allow this. I have to go to my next step in life. I have to elevate. So in order to elevate, I have to let this part go as far as holding a grudge. Now, this will always be my story. And I will always go further with my story, help other people. So I even wrote a book about my whole life story as a whole. But the thing about it is, I had to deal with that chapter, and I wrote him in an inbox, and he didn't respond. He looked at the message and he didn't respond. And when he didn't respond, I said, I understand you're not going to respond. And I still even have the proof of it. I know you're not going to respond, but I want to let you know that I'm releasing this from me, because this is something I have to go to my next level in life. Even with my parents, I said the same thing to them, and we was been supposed to meet about it. Never happened. And with my relationship, where I had to end it, where I said I had to thank you for putting me through what you put me through for those 6 months that led me to come out to want to be free and understand who God really is in my life. I want to thank you for putting me through that. And I want to forgive you. And I even asked all of them as a whole, if I did anything that provoked or did anything, I want you to forgive me. Because sometimes we don't even understand that we may have done something that may have hurt somebody. We may have done things that may have allowed somebody to do certain things. We don't know. Even if we didn't, I wanted to cover all boards, because at that point, me and Jesus had a conversation. I fasted and I prayed about it. And the Holy Spirit led me. And when I say I wanted to be free, I wanted to be free. So when I say I forgave you, I forgave you. So I did. I had to go through my season. It was necessary. You have to go through that. You can't hold it for all your life.
Well, that's wonderful, because I know forgiveness for a lot of people it's not easy at all. I mean,
it wasn't easy, but I had to come to terms with it.
Yeah.
I had to fast and pray. Yeah. It was something I had to fast and pray about. Like, wait a minute.
Yeah. That's because you really wanted to forgive. You don't want to just say you did. You really wanted to, so you don't hold it over their head or anything like that. Also,
yeah.
But I want you to say what message would you have for a homosexual current? It could be because you don't even look like you were so driven in it, you look like you were just it, and you were just doing your own thing. You know, you
I
didn't.
was.
Like, did you go to like pride parades or anything like that? Or?
No, I was never
Yeah,
into that. That was not
that's what I'm
me.
saying. You look like you was just doing your thing and whatnot. And it
Yeah.
goes to show like how how broad this is. There's people who are just really for it and they're encouraging it, put it in the schools, put it in this and that.
No,
Have
absolutely
some.
not.
Yeah, I was just doing my own thing, really. Boom, 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 and that was that. What message would you have for somebody currently right now watching you who is homosexual? And a little message to the the because we know within the Black community it's very hidden. Some put it hidden, and they because they know what it's like, and it's not even just dealing with the parents, the relatives and just
Relatives,
walking on the
the
street,
church,
getting
everything, friends, peers. Yep.
getting egged in your head, getting pushed, getting jumped, all these things. But in terms like what message would you have for them?
I want to let everyone to know who is currently dealing with this sin. I want you to know that your deliverance is coming if you allow it to come, if you want it to come. So you have to start and want it to come, and know that you are loved. And if you're not loved physically around the people who's around you, know that Jesus loves you, and know that he loves you beyond your sin. And don't think that your sin is so powerful that you think that it's going to take you all the way up until your grave. Yes, some people it does, but some of us it does not. We all have a purpose, we all have a plan, and we need to understand our purpose and plan. If you want to be free, if you want to be healed, fast about it, pray about it. It's okay to go to therapy. It's okay to seek clinical therapy, because it's so hidden and we don't want to do that. And especially in our culture, in any culture, that we don't want to talk about it. Talk about it. Start your healing process, because it's necessary. You have a greater purpose. You have a greater plan. You're supposed to be doing. If you're still here, that means you have an assignment to fulfill, and it's going to happen. His word will not return back to him void. So that means if you're still here, you still have purpose, and you have to follow that plan, and it's going to happen. And I encourage you to grasp onto that and understand that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the light. And that's how I had to do it. I had to lean onto him. I had to lean onto his way, his truth, his life, and lean onto his strength, because that's the only way I was able to get out of it. And don't think at all that I'm going to forget where I came from, because I know where you are right now. I know the situation that you're in. So I know it's not easy. It's not just a 1, 2, 3, I'm free. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and it may all be going to 100. But your freedom will happen if you start the process. And if you make it up in your mind first before you start it, don't do it because other people want you to do it. Do it because it's something that you're supposed to do. Yeah. And you have to be, it is coming, and I encourage you. And I encourage you to do so. And I'm always here to help. Inbox, talk, and everything. That's what I do. That's what I believe, that once people who are free, we're supposed to contribute back into the community and into the people who need the help, because it's not easy. We all need prayer, and we all need that accountability. When you trying to go text that person at night, maybe you not connected to God like that to even say, Lord, I need you. Maybe you only still know how to communicate with a person. So maybe you need to text somebody as an accountability partner, like, listen, I'm struggling with this right now. I need you maybe to pray with me so I can go to sleep. Pray with me so I won't have to go answer that call. Pray with me so I don't have to go into that chat room or go into that party line or go into that website. We all need somebody to do that. Outside of God. But because we don't have a relationship, some of us don't have a relationship with him, I offer you that to even get connected to an accountability partner who is connected to the Creator, the Father, Son, Jesus Christ, the Holy Spirit, so he can lead you to that destination. That's the message I have for you. Your freedom date is coming. Everybody has a birth date, but everybody has a freedom date. You have to choose what date is yours.
Wow. Y'all heard it, y'all heard it. This is a man who was in that lifestyle, dwelt in that lifestyle, and understands what it is to be in that lifestyle physically, emotionally, spiritually, and also mentally. Because you said you were, like, as you said, you were still going to church in, you know, that manner and stuff. Because a lot of
Yeah.
times people may be scared. Some, yes, I won't lie. Some, you know, church folk, they don't have it in them to just kind of just let it be. Like that one person walking there is like, oh my, you know, and already that discomfort comes.
Yeah.
You get what I mean? But that could be fair,
yeah, right.
right? Let's say, man, I stole. A brother may have caught me. I would rather him come and tell me, brother, you know you're not supposed to do that, but not go publicize it like on CNN. Now I walk in there, oh yeah, he's a thief. It's him. My days, you know, that could just bring that discomfort for someone.
Right.
Those of you, there you have it. You know, this was a wonderful show. Once again,
Yes.
like I really appreciate you even just taking the time out of your day just to come and get this done. Like I really appreciate it. I really do.
Absolutely.
I don't take it for granted. I know you're married, you're a busy man, you have to work and stuff like that. As the scripture says, you don't work, you don't eat. You know what I'm saying? So I know, you know, you're busy with it all. I'm really appreciative of it all. I really hope just one person watching this, you know, whether if they are in that lifestyle or know someone that's in that lifestyle that can watch this and say, wow, I can come out. There's a possibility.
You can come out and be married.
Yeah, and be married too. And be married, right? Because that's because it's a fear where, you know, a woman may be like, man, can I go? Should I go? But you have him out of that lifestyle and happily married, huh?
Happily married.
And
I'm like, how could you even agree to my past lifestyle? And she said the Lord has been dealing with her on another level, and it was for us to meet in that season, because if it was before that season, she would have said no. That's another praise report and hope for you that it shall happen. It has to.
That's wonderful, man. You look very happy. You look very healthy. You know, once again, thank you for coming on the show. Those of you that are watching, thank you for watching. It was Mr. Jahza Hall. Like I said, I probably take, you know, your Facebook if people, because look, people may want to, you know, not me to know that they were in that lifestyle, and they may come to you unknown and say, hey, I'm
absolutely
this. You know what I'm saying? So those of you, I'm pretty sure he's open to message him on Facebook.
I am.
Instagram as well? Or?
I have Facebook, I have Instagram, and I have email. All three.
Okay, so I'll get those things so that way I can get it done. If those of you got, look, man, if you got messages, you know, or just quick question and say, hey, man, did you really come out that lifestyle? Is this for real? Did Sundin pay you to come on his show or something like that? For real? Come on now. It's to the point where these are real people. You know, these are real people through real life situations. And if you need the help, they're open for it, right? So thank you for listening. Those of you, once again, you know, this podcast is sponsored by JEVEUXJOUERCA, a program that teaches life skill through a variety of activities. This affiliates itself with no church but First Church of our Lord Jesus Christ, where the leader, teacher, and guide is Apostle Pastor Gino Jennings. You can go on YouTube. There's live webcasts at 1 p.m. and 6 p.m. for those of you who aren't close and that can go. And then if you need to know if there's a temple in your area, you can go to thetruthofgod.com and find a local temple. Thank you for listening. It's your boy Sundin Esperance, Mr. Jahza Hall. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it. You know, God bless you. You know,
thank you for having me.
You know what I mean? That just because I know anything in life can happen and stuff.
Yes.
It's just to continue that you continue to stay strong, and that you continue to keep going forward, and that, you know, this episode right here can encourage and help those who are in that lifestyle. Everybody take care. Peace be unto you. Your boy Sundin Esperance, Mr. Jahza Hall. Yes, sir.